They don't always shout their intentions. Sometimes they smile. Sometimes they call themselves family. Sometimes they act like friends. But deep down, you know the truth. Their presence drains you, their words weaken you, and their actions chip away at your peace. Stoicism teaches us that protecting our mind is more important than keeping every relationship alive. Today, we'll uncover 7 undeniable signs that it's time to cut all contact before the cost becomes your sanity. Welcome to the realm of Stoic love. To motivate us to make more useful videos, please subscribe to the channel and share with your friends. Remember to like and leave a comment. Whatever it is, your feedback will help us learn from you and grow. Now, let's explore the wonderful things ahead together. At some stage of life, holding on to certain people becomes an act of self-destruction rather than charity. Not everyone in your life is there to love you, be there for you, or develop with you. They exist to deplete you, control you, and gradually erode your sense of value until you start to doubt your own worth and sanity. The sad thing is that you frequently don't initially see it. It begins modestly, with a slight boundary violation here and an undercutting remark there. You justify it by assuring yourself that it wasn't intentional. Or perhaps you're simply overly sensitive. However, the pattern becomes indisputable with time. Every time their name comes up on your phone, you feel heavier, your confidence is fading, and your tranquility is dwindling. According to Stoicism, the people you spend time with have a direct impact on the state of your mind. Your inner calm will always be at jeopardy if someone continuously drags you into chaos. Knowing when someone's presence is poisonous, regardless of their title, whether they are a friend, co-worker, or even family, is a sign of emotional intelligence. The truth is also difficult. If someone has demonstrated that they are incapable of treating you with dignity, you do not owe them access to you. Retaliation isn't the reason to cut off all contact. It's about taking back your life, your concentration, and your independence. You starve their power and strengthen yourself when you cease providing energy to people who profit from your sorrow. We'll look at 7 clear indicators today that it's time to cut all connections before they cost you more than you can bear. Hatred is not the issue here. It's about psychological boundaries, self-preservation, and developing a high-performance mentality in which you focus all of your energy on people and activities that help you grow. Let's get started if you're prepared to keep your peace at all costs. If someone consistently crosses the personal limits you've established, whether you've explicitly expressed them or they should be obvious to any decent human being, that's one of the most unmistakable indicators that it's time to end all communication. This goes beyond simple rudeness or inconsideration and psychology. It's a covert way to exert control by going outside your comfort zone. They're trying to see how much of yourself you're prepared to sacrifice in order to maintain harmony. In order to determine whether you will put comfort ahead of self-respect, they are looking for signs of weakness. These infractions may initially appear minor or even innocuous. They may forget to return something they borrow on time. You might overlook it the first time they interrupt you in the middle of a sentence, or make jokes about things you've made it obvious are delicate subjects. Then again, but this time, there's a risk. You are inadvertently teaching children that your limits are flexible each time you ignore it. Stoics believe that while you have no control over other people's behavior, you do have complete power over your own. You're effectively giving someone permission to continue insulting you if you let them continue to cross the boundaries you've set. The effects will become apparent to you over time. Ongoing annoyance, emotional exhaustion, and a gradual decline in your self-confidence. Mutual respect is the foundation of any healthy connection, be it romantic, familial, or friendship. When they recognize when they have gone too far, people that respect you will change their behavior. They care about maintaining the relationship. Thus, they will try to meet you halfway. Those that consistently push those boundaries, however, are doing it to see how far they can go, not by mistake. Additionally, they get a little more aggressive every time you make concessions. Strong psychological boundaries are important for preserving your inner calm and boosting your self-esteem, not for being distant or chilly. When someone consistently crosses those lines, it becomes a respect issue rather than a communication problem. The harsh reality is that you cannot teach respect to someone who gains an advantage by treating you disrespectfully. Cutting off communication in these kinds of circumstances is a sign of emotional intelligence, not weakness. It's realizing that you're teaching them that their actions are acceptable the longer you stay. Realizing that sometimes total disengagement is necessary for self-preservation because partial interaction only creates the possibility of additional harm. This is a further layer. Chronic boundary infractions aren't usually clear and loud, which most people overlook. They can occasionally be disguised as charm, guilt trips, or light-hearted comments. Even though the delivery is gentle, the goal is to make you less in charge of your own life. You owe it to yourself to identify these patterns early on, because the more you normalize these minor incursions, the simpler it will be for them to escalate. Before disrespect becomes the norm, you owe it to your future self to act decisively. Furthermore, conflict, compromise, or countless second chances are frequently not the best ways to keep your peace. It's by being totally absent. You're no longer playing a game with the rules stacked against you when you completely avoid their reach. Setting limits is ultimately about protecting yourself, not about punishing them. Because someone shouldn't be in your life at all if they can't exist without undermining your self-esteem. When someone constantly makes you feel the need to defend yourself, defend your behavior, or justify your value, it is another clear indication that you should stop communicating with them. This dynamic isn't typical or healthy. Psychological warfare is what this is. It's rarely an accident when someone makes you feel defensive. It's frequently a calculated strategy to undermine your sense of self, get you to doubt your own reality, and sap your emotional reserves. Because someone who is always defending themselves has little time to think logically, set limits, or hold the other person accountable. This is a classic manipulation technique. It can begin quietly. Over time, they may question your decisions, attack your appearance, cast doubt on your intentions, or use passive-aggressive remarks that seem strange, but are difficult to confront openly. You're constantly waiting for the next hit because of the terrible mental environment these little yabs create. You end yourself making up explanations for things that don't even require them. And gradually, you begin to question yourself. This perpetual defensive state is harmful from the standpoint of emotional intelligence, since it causes you to refocus your attention from maintaining your inner peace to controlling how other people see you. This trade is unfair. Someone who makes you spend your limited energy defending your character is taking from you right in front of you. Disagreements can occur in healthy relationships without constantly making one partner feel like the victim. If you make a mistake, the discussion in a supportivist setting is about finding solutions rather than leveling blame. However, there is no remedy when dealing with toxic people, just a changing target of criticism meant to keep you uneasy. Here, the Stoic attitude is essential. It's impossible to stop someone from making charges or stirring up trouble. However, you have some control over their level of access to you. You have the ability to completely withdraw from the arena and decline to participate in their ongoing battle in the role they have given you. Being constantly on the defensive undermines your self-worth, which is one of its most harmful effects. If I have to explain myself this often, you start to wonder if I'm truly incorrect or inadequate. Once you begin to doubt yourself, the manipulator wants you to do just that. You're much simpler to manage. Take it as a clear indication if you find that every interaction you have with this individual leaves you feeling exhausted, misinterpreted, or unfairly evaluated. Someone who genuinely cares about you will try to understand you rather than corner you. They will allow you to express yourself without worrying about criticism or ongoing suspicion. In these circumstances, severing touch is self-preservation, not an overreaction. It's making the decision to live in a state of mind where you are not required to defend every action you take. Instead of surviving in a loop of emotional outbursts, it's about regaining mental clarity so you can concentrate on personal development, meaning, and inner serenity. You don't have to defend your existence to anyone. After all, your life isn't a courtroom. The most effective thing you can do, if someone keeps putting you in that situation, is to completely leave their jurisdiction. When someone intentionally or covertly undermines your goals, dreams, and joy, it's one of the most obvious and sneaky indicators that you should stop communicating with them. This is a direct attack on your future, rather than merely a personality conflict or a disagreement of opinion. Not all forms of sabotage involve overt destruction. Actually, the most harmful sort frequently goes unnoticed in the form of humor, concern, or assistance. Just before you make a significant step forward, they may doubt your skills. They may highlight every potential danger in your plan, but they will never provide answers. With a backhanded remark like, "It's not that big of a deal," or "Anyone could have done that," they might brush off your victories. The recurring theme is that they instill uncertainty, hesitancy, and anxiety, rather than offering you support. Why? Because your development challenges their authority or upends the position they have given you in their lives. You may outgrow them if you change, and that scares people who depend on you staying small and safe. From the standpoint of emotional intelligence, this goes beyond their negativity. It's a deliberate or unconscious attempt to keep you reliant, uneasy, and trapped. Additionally, you become less trusting of your own intuition the more you internalize their restrictive views. Here, the psychological boundaries are important. You can't let someone who takes advantage of your insecurities stay near you long enough to affect your choices. When you tell a healthy individual about your dreams, they should encourage you rather than dampen them down. However, a toxic individual will either diminish, ridicule, or ignore your success. Emotional isolation is a further element of this sabotage. They may gently sway you against those who sincerely want you to succeed by telling you that those opportunities aren't as fantastic as they look, or that those pals don't truly care about you. This is a type of scarcity control, where you are stripped of all other sources of support and made to feel as though they are the only person you can trust. In addition to teaching us that we should not let outside opinions determine our course, the Stoic attitude also emphasizes the importance of being vigilant in protecting our surroundings. You can't expect a healthy crop if you put seeds in poisoned soil. It is your duty to safeguard your mind and spirit by removing yourself from someone whose presence continuously makes you feel less confident and less able to see clearly. Do I feel more optimistic about my life after spending time with this person? Or, more ambiguously, do they quietly undercut or support my potential? You can tell if they are a slow leak in your spirit or a source of fuel by the answers to those questions. Here, breaking off touch is an act of self-worth rather than cruelty. It's the choice to be around by people who support you and want you to succeed, because Once you cut saboteurs out of your life, you grow faster. Not because you suddenly became capable, but because the continual burden of their doubt is lifted. How someone reacts when you draw a line is one of the best indicators of their actual nature. Boundaries are gates that control what can enter your physical, mental, and emotional space. They are not barriers that keep others out. It is not a misunderstanding when someone consistently disregards, questions, or manipulates such boundaries. Rather, it is a kind of dominance. There are various ways to be disrespectful. Perhaps you've requested some space during a trying period, but they keep calling, unexpectedly showing up, or requesting explanations. Maybe you've made it obvious that you don't want to talk about a certain subject, but they keep bringing it up until you give in. Subtle jabs at your expense after you've acknowledged that it concerns you, unintentional touches after you've already expressed discomfort, or disclosing personal information you trusted them are all examples of violations. This habit is about pushing yourself to the limit, not about forgetting. Boundaries are frequently viewed by toxic people as obstacles to be conquered rather than as norms to be adhered to. From the perspective of emotional intelligence, their desires are unchangeable, but your needs are negotiable. This conveys a lack of regard and humanity. Even if they don't fully understand it, a healthy person respects your boundaries because they view them as an integral part of who you are. When you let someone who is sick to cross it without facing any repercussions, you are teaching them that your no is actually just a maybe. They view it as a barrier to their control. Setting strict limits communicates that you value your time, energy, and peace of mind. However, when someone consistently disrespects them, they are expressing to you, at least verbally, that they prefer their convenience over your comfort. You can't safely keep this individual in your inner circle. The purpose of psychological boundaries is to safeguard your sense of value. Without them, you are more susceptible to emotional deterioration, in which minor transgressions over time erode your self-assurance and judgment. You're not in a healthy dynamic if you're always defending or justifying your boundaries to other people. In the context of Stoic philosophy, you are negotiating for your own dignity. The concept is straightforward. What you let into your heart and thoughts is up to you. No one who is not in control of himself is free, according to Epictetus. You've given up that mastery if someone can cross your borders whenever they want to. And when you give up that, you give up your tranquility as well. It's about preservation, not retaliation. When you break off communication with someone who doesn't respect your limits, when someone consistently breaches your emotional defenses, it is impossible to have a life of inner serenity. You owe it to yourself to defend your well-being with unyielding resolution, since it is more valuable than their acceptance. Keep this in mind if you ever feel bad about setting limits. Those who truly care about you will behave differently. Those that don't will attempt to make you feel bad for setting boundaries at all. You can identify who belongs in your life and who doesn't, just by looking at that reality. Realizing that someone just values you for what you can offer them, not for who you are, is one of the most obvious signs that it's time to break off any communication. This is the ultimate type of exploitation. They might not always make direct demands. Frequently, it's far more subdued, veiled in flattery, charm, or a staged crisis that conveniently serves their interests. It starts with seemingly innocuous tiny requests, loans that they pledge to repay, requesting your assistance on a project just once, or relying on you for emotional support without ever providing anything in return. These favors increase with time, and you begin to see trends. The giver is always you. They always end up taking. Since you care about them, you may initially be able to overlook it, But emotional intelligence teaches us that healthy relationships depend on reciprocity. Constant depletion of one side leads to resentment, fatigue, and, most dangerously, a loss of self-worth. Those who are toxic and take advantage of others are frequently adept at making their wants appear urgent and inevitable. They are skilled at making you feel guilty, empathetic, or accountable. To coerce you into complying, they may bring up past favors they have performed, either genuine or fabricated, or they may play the victim so well that refusing them seems harsh. This relationship is destructive from the standpoint of psychological boundaries, because it teaches you to disregard your own needs. Instead of using your intrinsic value as a human being, you start to gauge your worth by how helpful you are to them. Because you know deep down that they will keep taking until there is nothing left to give, this undermines your inner serenity and replaces it with a persistent low-grade uneasiness. This is referred to as a loss of autonomy in Stoic terminology. "If it is not right, do not do it," wrote Marcus Aurelius. Don't mention anything that isn't truthful. You are engaging in an agreement that is neither real nor right when you keep supporting someone else's selfishness. Encouraging exploitation is self-betrayal, not virtue, according to Stoics, who believe in acting from virtue. While it's simple to see financial abuse, emotional exploitation can be even more harmful. These are the individuals who count on you to be available to them in times of need, to listen to them, and to solve their problems. They provide consolation, but when you're the one in need, they disappear. You're supposed to sacrifice everything for their milestones, but they forget yours. They don't have time to assist you with moving, but you're always there to save them. Principles of a high-performance mentality serve as a reminder that our energy is our most valuable asset. We are unable to achieve our own objectives and create the life we desire when we let someone continuously drain our energies. You need to reconsider their place in your life if it feels more like an anchor pulling you down than a sail propelling you ahead. Terminating communication with such people is a sign of clarity, not cruelty. They will reveal their true nature as soon as you cease to be of value to them. They will either try to reintegrate you into the role they have given you or completely vanish. When this occurs, remind yourself that your value is unaffected by their acceptance. In the end, a relationship is a transaction, and you are not obligated to continue paying a bill that shouldn't have been there in the first place if it is centered on what you can offer rather than respect, development, and care for one another. Preserve your dignity, your time, and your energy. You will never feel like an ATM, an emotional sponge, or a stepping stone from those that value you. Instead of standing on top of you, they will stand next to you. Even though they don't openly insult you, physically hurt you, or ask for money, some people make you feel heavy, exhausted, and oddly unmotivated after every encounter. Being with someone who saps your mental, emotional, and even spiritual vitality has an invisible cost that isn't coincidental. Energy drainers can take many different forms. Some people constantly focus on what's wrong without ever doing anything to address it. They are chronic complainers. Others take minor annoyances and magnify them into major catastrophes because they love drama. And then there are others whose persistent pessimism quietly permeates your thoughts, displacing your optimism with uncertainty and anxiety. Over time, your emotional intelligence will begin to see the deeper cost each time you spend time with them, even if you initially dismiss it as simply the way they are. You feel less capable, less inspired, and less alive when you go. Over time, this affects your capacity to retain a high-performance attitude, safeguard your inner peace, and remain goal-focused. Your body reacting before your head is a telltale symptom of an energy drainer. Before you meet them, you could experience a rush of trepidation or a knot in your shoulders as their name appears on your phone. This is a warning from your intuition. In addition to teaching us to listen to reason, Stoicism emphasizes self-awareness, which includes being able to spot when your tranquility is being subtly undermined. Energy drainers frequently disregard boundaries from the standpoint of psychological boundaries. They might monopolize talks, call at unsuitable times, or subtly demand your time without asking. They act as though your mental space is there for their convenience, and that they are entitled to your attention. Some drainers do it without realizing it. They have learnt to control their emotions by projecting them onto other people, which keeps them stuck in vicious cycles of fear, self-pity, or resentment. However, the impact on you is the same whether you are conscious of it or not. You can't concentrate on managing your own ship if you are being dragged into their storms. Here, a potent Stoic truth holds true. What you focus on shapes who you are. Reacting to someone else's disarray with all of your energy will eventually cause you to adopt their worldview. Because of this, it is not selfish to break off contact or at least establish a clear space. It is a matter of survival. Making the switch from reactive to selective is the best method to recover your energy. Decide who has access to your innermost thoughts. Be in the company of individuals who push you without draining you, who inspire and encourage you. Your ability to develop, create, and live a purposeful life is safeguarded when you safeguard your energy. Keep in mind that your tranquility is invaluable. Your capacity to think clearly, feel grounded, and pursue your best self should never be compromised by a relationship, no matter how familiar. It's hardly a small irritation if someone constantly leaves you feeling exhausted rather than rejuvenated. It's an obvious indication. Now is the time to leave. Realizing that you can no longer be who you truly are around someone is one of the most obvious signs that it's time to break off all communication. There is more to this than just a slight discomfort. It's the strong, enduring feeling that you have to control your speech, conceal aspects of your personality, or repress your feelings in order to keep others from judging, criticizing, or arguing with you. You may express yourself freely and fearlessly in healthy partnerships. Even if you disagree, we understand your opinions, peculiarities, and vulnerabilities. However, there is an implicit pressure to be the version of yourself that toxic people will accept, rather than the real you while you're among them. This dynamic frequently emerges in subtle ways. You begin to suppress your thoughts, since you are aware that they will misrepresent you. Your comedy is met with sarcasm, which makes you laugh less. They minimize your accomplishments, so you don't talk as much about your objectives. You can eventually even start to lose sight of what it's like to be completely authentic. This is a warning sign in terms of emotional intelligence. Authenticity is the foundation of true connection, and if you can't be yourself in a relationship, it's based on control rather than respect. Your inner serenity is threatened, your self-worth is changed, and your mental energy is depleted by this continual self-monitoring. This is frequently the outcome of psychological manipulation. It is dangerous to be authentic with toxic people, whether they are narcissists, chronic critics, or passive-aggressive types. They may teach you into self-censorship by emotional disengagement, public humiliation, or subtle shame. If they have the ability to dictate how you express yourself, it's a power play. The relationship is within their control. Regardless of what other people may think, Stoicism emphasizes the virtue of living according to your own principles. However, when you're always on the defensive, you're merely surviving rather than living freely. Furthermore, thriving is not the same as survival. It's not your imagination, If you find that you feel smaller, more tense, or more guarded around this one person, yet lighter, more at ease, and more like yourself with others, your neurological system is alerting you to the danger they pose to your soul. In actuality, no relationship is worth compromising your genuineness for. It's not about punishing them or winning by cutting contact. It's about taking back your freedom to live without worrying about criticism. And after you get rid of that burden, you'll discover that you're re-establishing contact with the person who was most essential to you. The hidden toll toxic relationships have on your emotional health is among their most underappreciated effects. By persuading yourself that maintaining harmony or maintaining contact is preferable to leaving, you can believe you are handling the situation. But you know the price in your heart. Every encounter erodes your sense of self, happiness, and trustworthiness. It is like carrying a big stone everywhere you go. If you continue to be with someone who consistently disregards your limits or undervalues you, it not only depresses you, but it also changes the way you view life. From the standpoint of emotional intelligence, you are stooped, defensive, and reactive, rather than tall and forward-thinking. Your emotional patterns are rewired by this ongoing exposure to toxins. To justify sticking, you can begin to distrust your instincts, question your own senses, or downplay your suffering. It becomes much more difficult to recognize how far you've strayed from peace as you normalize the dysfunction over time. The peace of mind you give up in the process is invaluable. Your nervous system is in survival mode when you're always on guard, wondering how they'll be feeling, preparing for criticism, or figuring out how much of yourself you can share. In addition to depleting your mental stamina, this increased stress has negative effects on your physical health, including disturbed sleep, persistent tension, and compromised immunity. Even worse, if you cling on, you may become emotionally stuck in the past. You fantasize about them finally changing, rehearse what you should have said, or repeat previous arguments. You are deprived of presence by these thought patterns, which prevent you from giving your all to opportunities and connections that could truly benefit you. This represents a loss of self-mastery from a Stoic perspective. You are giving up control of your emotions by letting someone else's actions determine how you feel. Your life becomes more of a response to them than a reflection of your ideals the longer you cling on. Eliminating contact isn't only about getting rid of someone, it's also about getting rid of the emotional debt you've been making with your happiness, peace, and sense of self-worth. There is frequently a startling feeling of lightness when you finally let go. You saw how much space they took up in your mind. You resume making decisions for yourself without waiting for their response or approval. In actuality, you cannot recover in the same setting that caused your pain. It will always be more expensive to hold on than to let go. How much longer are you willing to pay the price, is the inquiry. No matter how hard you try to justify it, there comes a time in every toxic relationship when you have to face an unpleasant reality. Make a concession. Offer to give. Nothing will change. You've attempted to reason. You've attempted empathy. Despite your efforts to give them the benefit of the doubt, the outcome remains consistent. They deplete your vitality, undermine your sense of value, and trap you in vicious cycles of annoyance and letdown. Continuing to interact with someone like that is like leaving your front door open to an emotional burglar from the perspective of psychological boundaries. Even if their attacks aren't always evident, their existence guarantees that you're never truly at peace. Your inner stability is eroded by the subtle undercurrent of manipulation, guilt-tripping, or passive violence present in every connection. This can work against you because the human brain is designed to adapt. You start normalizing their conduct if you stay in their orbit for a long enough period of time. They start using sarcasm as a common speech pattern. It's possible that they forgot about broken commitments. When someone is emotionally neglected, they just become stressed. This is a risky mental reframe. It makes you oblivious to the gradual devaluation of yourself. It is not a punishment to cut contact. It's defense. It's an emotional intelligence-based effort of self-preservation. It's realizing that no amount of well-meaning efforts on your part can terminate communication and repair a connection that feeds off your suffering. You take away their power to use you as a source of approval or as an emotional punching bag. Walking away also involves a deep spiritual discipline. The Stoics realize that mental mastery, not attempting to exert control over others, is the path to tranquility. In essence, you are giving up that control if you keep interacting with someone who has shown they are incapable of showing you respect. You put your peace in their hands the longer you stay, and they have already demonstrated that they won't keep it safe. You regain something priceless when you break contact, your inner strength. All of a sudden, you are no longer reacting to their crises or emotions. You are no longer seeking their favor, justifying your decisions, or protecting your limits. Instead of responding to their disarray, you begin making decisions based on your own principles and objectives. Cutting off communication is too drastic, according to some, especially if the person is family. However, blood does not give someone the right to betray your confidence or undermine your well-being. From a distance, you can send good vibes to someone. It's possible to forgive without letting them return to your life. Forgiveness is not about giving them more permission to harm you. Rather, it is about letting go of the emotional grip they have on you. This is the truth. You make room for healing when you eventually take yourself out of the toxic equation. The relaxation of your neurological system starts. Your thoughts cease rehashing previous disputes. You restore the mental capacity to concentrate on your goals, your interests, and the connections that truly make your life better. It's not that simple. There will be a desire to get back in touch, frequently driven by guilt or nostalgia. They can make appeals to our common past or make promises of transformation. However, you will remember that these patterns are not new if you are honest with yourself. It takes more than just words said in a lonely moment to bring about change. It takes steady action over time. Making touch is not merely a positive move. The only way to be sure you don't fall into the same emotional quagmire again is to take this step. It's a proclamation to the world and to yourself. There is no negotiating my peace, and you'll see why you ought to have done it sooner after you've lived without their omnipresent shadow. The true work starts after you break off contact with someone toxic, not in looking back, but in purposefully building a life so strong and satisfying that their absence is not just relieved, but also liberating. Building a life that inherently protects you from potential pain is the focus of this chapter. You don't have to live in dread. It's about living in such harmony with your ideals and sense of self-worth that harmful individuals cannot enter. 1. Strengthen your mental limits. Consider your boundaries to be the walls of a fortress, allowing only people who are nice, respectful, and honest to enter, not to keep everyone out. This is where your main weapon becomes emotional intelligence. You are no longer responding rashly to emotional baiting, guilt-tripping, or manipulation. Rather, you're coolly spotting warning signs early and removing yourself before they become more serious injuries. Doable actions. Practice refusing without providing a reason. People who treat your time as if it were limitless should be avoided. Don't play emotional chess or have pointless debates. Your limits serve as a filter for meaningful relationships in addition to being a line of defense. 2. Add growth to the area, not remorse. There is frequently a void left in your life when someone leaves. Many people rush to fill it with new, equally harmful relationships or even distractions. Don't. Instead, rebuild your identity in that environment. What passions did I give up due of them, you ask? Which objectives did I give up on? Before I began reducing myself to suit their comfort, regaining interests, aspirations, and self-care practices, who was I? Establish a way of living where happiness is independent of other people's approval. 3. Make your inner circle stronger. Eliminating someone is an addition as well as a subtraction. Rather than upsetting your tranquility, surround yourself with individuals who enhance it. Your high-performance mindset is crucial in this situation. You choose the energy you let into your life with purpose. Examine your relationships for these characteristics. They don't push your boundaries. They respect them. They enjoy your victories without feeling envious. They don't disparage you. They hold you accountable. You will discover that your ability to connect and build trust increases when you are surrounded by individuals who truly want you to succeed. 4. Develop your detachment skills. Quiet confidence, or the capacity to remain calm in the face of chaos, is one of the most potent traits you can cultivate. According to Stoicism, we can achieve calm by managing our reactions, not the entire world. Apathy is not the same as detachment. It implies that you no longer cede control to erratic emotions, unjust criticism, or deceptive drama. When it helps you achieve your goals, you participate. When it keeps you calm, you pull back. 5. Create an unbreakable existence from the inside out. In 5 years, if someone toxic were to examine your life, what would you like them to find? Not only have you moved on, but you've also advanced in your spiritual, mental, emotional, and even financial development. Make an investment in yourself. Gain knowledge that will help you become more self-sufficient. With discipline, work toward mental and physical well-being. Develop your spiritual discipline by engaging in attentive reflection, meditation, or prayer. It gets harder for someone to control you again the more independent and grounded you become. 6. Recognize that not everyone will be able to sit at your table. A harsh reality. Not everyone who joins you on the road deserves to be with you all the way through. Some people are not designed to be lifelong friends. They are supposed to be lessons. Those who gain from your smaller, more obedient personality will be offended by your advancement. And that's all right. This change in perspective is freeing. You don't have to defend your distance, explain your boundaries, or persuade others of your value. Your life serves as evidence. 7. Live as an example rather than a caution. Showing the toxic person what they lost is not the purpose of your life once you cut off contact. It's about demonstrating your progress to yourself. You live according to your values every day. The truth is being reinforced by you. I'm not open for emotional turmoil, manipulation, or disrespect. Those who once undervalued you will eventually see a change they can't ignore. And you'll have a more precious inner serenity that no one can take away, even though you might never hear an apology. It is impossible for poisonous people to be near you when you live this way, because your quiet strength, self-respect, and limits are a natural deterrent. Chaos is no longer drawn to you. You've turned into a haven of calm, order, and direction. What's the best part? You accomplished it without conflict, without seeking retribution, and without compromising your moral character. That's the ultimate triumph. You are not simply leaving someone harmful when you ultimately break off communication with them. You're on your way to becoming a better version of yourself. You've regained your authority, reconstructed your identity, and demonstrated that you can succeed without seeking retribution. Your current way of living is a statement to the world. I won't be a haven for turmoil anymore. The story doesn't finish here. You get to choose who has access to your time, energy, and tranquility at the beginning of a new chapter. You have chosen inner calm over never-ending drama, self-worth over self-sacrifice, and emotional intelligence over emotional warfare. You've also rendered yourself untouchable by doing this. Let your tranquility be your final triumph, your growth, your solution, and your boundaries, your shield. The strongest people are the ones whose silence screams loudest because they aren't the loudest. If this struck a chord with you, keep in mind that your story may motivate someone else who is currently struggling to achieve freedom. If these words echo your truth, write this in the comments. I begin my journey. I read everyone, and I walk this path with you. Subscribe, because the stories we've yet to tell are the ones that change us most. What did you think of the video? Be sure to give it a thumbs up and drop a comment to share if you journeyed all the way to the end of the video. Simply utter those words and I'll understand that this video made a difference for you. Thank you kindly, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more captivating tales like this one. I've set aside a few of our videos that will be quite beneficial for you. They appear before our eyes, alive on the screen,